Hello, darlings. So someone, I can't remember on what video who it was, I can't remember the specifics, but one of you recently asked me if I had a bookshelf tour, which I did have one. I did one in 2023, but I like to do bookshelf tours once a year because your shelves do drastically change in the course of a year, whether you are unhauling, hauling, or whatever. I don't do as much hauling, but I have, you know, unhauled some stuff, and so my shelves have changed. So I thought it'd be interesting to do a 2024 bookshelf tour. Now, for this bookshelf tour, I did split it up into two parts. This is me retroactively doing an intro, so editing me is going to be very interested in seeing whether I already said this in the first part of this bookshelf tour, but it's going to be split into two parts. You're getting part one today, and then you will get part two a couple of days from now, just because from the way that I was filming it, it was almost like each part was in between 30 to 35 minutes. I didn't want anyone to have to sit through an hour-long bookshelf tour, so I thought I would split it up in two, because actually my bookcases are split into two. One's on one side of the living room, and this one is on the other side, kind of in between the living room and dining room type area. Very interesting. So I thought it would be fun to split it up. So this first part, you're going to primarily be seeing a lot of my adult and young adult materials, and the second half is where you'll see the comics, the graphic novels, the manga, the middle grade, the children's picture books, all that stuff. I do not pull every book out one by one. I've never been a fan of those type of bookshelf tours. More power to the people who do it. They're just not for me, because that's a lot of work, okay? That's a whole lot of work that I just do not have the capacity to do at all. I just don't have the capacity to do all that editing. So as you're going through the video, you're going to see me kind of give a brief overview of the shelf, how the books are organized. Keep in mind, a lot of this shit is actually unorganized because, hey, we're talking about me here. And I do point out some books that I've read, some things that I do want to pick up, some commentary on authors that I have on my shelf that I am questioning on whether I want them on my shelves or not anymore. So it's just kind of like a hogwash of a lot of different things. But sit back, grab yourself a cup of tea, a snack, and enjoy the bookshelf tour. Okay, y'all bear with me here. Because I'm holding the tripod, and so this is going to be very interesting. I didn't really do an overview of the shelf, so basically this is, let me see if I can back up here a little bit. So this is the first shelf with boxes by it. This is where I keep most of my book of the month books. Honestly, this hasn't really changed since the last time I did the bookshelf tour. All of these books up here, like I said, are book of the month. A lot of them I really still need to read or make a determination of whether I want to keep them or not, because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I have read any of the ones that are up here. If I had to pick ones that I'm most interested in picking up, it probably would be Mame, Before I Let Go, Harlem Shuffle, and let's see, Arsenic and Adobo, The Maid. Actually, I am pretty excited about all these. I don't know why I just said that, but I am. I'm excited about most of these. Okay. Dropping down, we have more of the book of the month books. Yes, so these are more book of the month books. I think on this shelf, high priority is definitely family lore, even though I have not heard great things about it. See if I can, another overview here. Okay, now dropping down, this is where the book of the month collection kind of ends. And I don't actively subscribe to book of the month. A lot of these I got because I was contracted out with them, sponsorship type stuff. And so that's how I ended up with a lot of these. But I do have them, if you didn't notice, a lot of them are organized by color. I do have a lot of elephants on my shelf. You will notice that because I am a Delta and a lot of these have been gifted to me. People always ask me, why is he facing that way? I don't know. These are some crystal collectibles or something like that that my partner had given me a while ago. This is from when I met Walter Mosley, so this copy is signed by him. So I always like to show that. And then I have read on the shelf It Would Be Night in Caracas. I did that for my Around the World Reading Challenge for Venezuela. Like Water for Chocolate, I've read multiple times. My first encounter with that one was in high school, I believe. And I don't think I've read it in a few years. Crosshairs was an interesting read. I actually did a interesting video with that one where I baked a apple pie while reviewing that book. That was cool. The Vanishing Half, of course. A lot of people have read that. I've read Everything by Britt Bennett. And then here goes some Frederick Bachman. There by Tommy Orange. I'm so nervous to start these. These are the original covers of Black Girls Must Die Exhausted. I know that they've gotten reprints since they have gotten picked up by a major publisher. I think these are new covers. So there is that. Alright, when we drop down to this shelf right here, I'm going to move this box out the way because I have stuff that I've gotten sent to me that I haven't had the chance to go through yet. But this stuff here, once again, my camera's being funny. This stuff right here is where we kind of step into more of my historical fiction and nonfiction. Some of it is, some of it's not, some of it's literary fiction. This is one of my favorite books. I love Behold the Dreamers. It's been a long time since I've read it, which I should have known that holding this camera and doing this at the same time was going to be a task and a half. Also, really enjoyed Snowflower and a Secret Fan. The Kite Runner, which I need to reread because I haven't read that in years. And then Life of Pi, which a lot of people don't like, but I love. Okay, y'all, that's better. That was driving me wild. It was just so creaky and unstable, and I don't like that. Okay, so this is where we kind of get into the non-fiction collection that I have here. We have everything from the 100 Years War on Palestine, Hood Feminism, Thick, Bad Fat Black Girl, which is, I want to reread these three, Hood Feminism, Thick, and Bad Fat Black Girl, because they each bring very interesting perspectives when it comes to intersectionality and feminism. Hair Story I do want to read, but that copy I actually need to get rid of. It is damaged. I literally went to open the book and it was in horrible condition, which I didn't realize. I have a copy When Crack Was King, Codependent No More, My Beautiful Black Hair, which is really nice. And then on this side I have Heavy, which I really enjoyed. Medical Apartheid, which I've been running from for forever because it's a tough book to want to dive into. And then I read So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo for work a couple years back. You could see I kind of heavily annotated that. I also read Ijeoma's book, what is it? Oh gosh, it's the mediocre book and I can't remember the actual title of it because I'm horrible. A couple of books by Ibram X. Kendi, a couple of books by Isabel Wilkerson, and then two that I've been itching to get to, which is White Trash, The 400-Year Untold History of Class America, and Lies My Teacher Told Me, which at this point would be rather interesting. Drop down to this shelf over here and we have a little bit more nonfiction. We have Barack Obama's book, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. Love that book, but it tore me up. This is a book I don't talk about often. It is a biography of the Temptations, which I love the Temptations. It started as an obsession as a kid, and I have never been able to let it go. Ace, which is a book that I really, really love that I read years ago. I still see people really heavily reading that one, which is great. And then we get into my Barnes & Noble classics. So I used to be an adamant collector of Barnes & Noble classics. Some of these I have read, some of them I haven't read. I've read Dracula. I need to revisit it. I haven't read it in years. I read A Christmas Carol. Read Expectations, Sense and Sensibility, which is one of my favorite Jane Austens. I have read some of Sherlock Holmes, but I haven't read those complete volumes. And then in here we have some of Edgar Allan Poe, which I have read, but not that complete collection. Read some of Emily Dickinson, but not Dickinson. But I haven't read all of that. This is a short story collection, Great American Short Story Collection. Jungle Book, Little Women. This is where we get into an area of some stuff that I have not read. The Idiots, Moby Dick, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Wuthering Heights. I need to read all those things. And then we're going to drop down here, which this is going to be a weird angle regardless, just because of how low this shelf is kind of cut. This is where I have my James Baldwin stuff, which is kind of completely out of order because I have, you know, some stuff here. I have stuff up here, Toni Morrison stuff. And then I have some of the Penguin classics. I have the Count of Monte Cristo down there, which I've started but haven't finished. North and South, Alice Adventures in Wonderland is down there. And the Madame Bovary, and then The Awakening by Kate Chopin, because I read it in high school and really enjoyed it, and I found it in that collection. So down here, see if I can drop this any lower. This is as good of an angle as I can get it, friends. Sorry. I have 2 copies of The Great Gatsby. This is a hated classic, but I like I do like The Great Gatsby. It's been a while since I've read it, but I do like it. It's been a while since I've read Brave New World, but I liked it when I read it. Love in the Time of the Cholera. I have a lot of Philippa Gregory. I don't know when I'm going to get to the rest of that, but I've read The Other Bowling Girl out of that section. And I believe I started The Lady of the Rivers. Yes, a while back. I started The Lady of the Rivers. I have read The Color Purple multiple times. This is kind of like a mishmash of things, by the way, y'all. This is a book, Joanne Fluke, part of her Hannah Swenson series. I read that one this year. This is, like I said, this is mystery. This is just like a whole wash of different things. Get my foot out of the frame. Some stuff, Colson Whitehead stuff here. Island Queen. I have these nice collections, the complete poems of Paul Laurence Dunbar. This is really, really nice. I mean, the actual book itself is nice, but it just has all of his poetry in it. In a mint edition. And then I have some Agatha Christie here. There's some poetry in here. And then I also have, see if I can get that to focus a little bit better. I have some cozy mysteries back there. Vivian Chen's series is back there. Ellie Alexander's back there. I have some more Joanne Fluke back there. And then Rhys Bowen's The Royal, whatever that cozy mysteries series is with the royals. So that's that first shelf. This is the only section, like this area is the only section that's double stacked. Everything else is only like single so far. Alright, we're gonna go up. So up here is where we start my romance, but these are the mass market paperbacks that I have. So I have some of the Silhouette from Harlequin here. Cynthia Williams. These are my favorites. These are old historical fiction with Black authors. I know when people think historical fiction or historical romance is by Black authors, they often go to Beverly Jenkins, who I do enjoy, but these are some other ones that I have found through research and was able to find copies of. I don't know if you can really find copies of these anymore, because it was just the luck of the draw that I was able to find these. Oops. Let's see if I can put this back. It's been so long since I've done a bookshelf tour, like I'm low-key kind of horrible at it. Okay, and as we get here, we have some of the Kimani line, which they don't do anymore, unfortunately. And I've been slowly trying to collect these as much. Oh shoot. Did that break? It didn't. I didn't even see that sitting there. So I have some of the Kimani line, and then I have some of these, more of these Harlequin like 2-in-1s, which Harlequin sent me. These are Desire. And then I have a lot of Alyssa Cole's books, some of Adriana Herrera, and then some of these are old Black romance books that used to be produced by BET Books and Pinnacle. And so I have been slowly acquiring a lot of these, like Angela Winter, Donna Hill, Rochelle Ayers, and then there's some more Harlequin Desire. Now this shelf is double stacked, and I'm gonna try my best to kind of show you what is back here. But really, honestly, back here, what you're gonna see is where I have other historical fiction. So Sarah McLean, Kerrigan Byrne, and then I think there's, so there's more back here with Lisa Kleypas, who I read for the first time a few years ago, and I wasn't mad at it. And so in the back there too, you'll see I have some Sophie Jordan, Joanna Lindsay, Tessa Dare, Sophie Jordan. I honestly, and now it's not focusing for me again, but that's okay. Okay, so there's a good selection of romances on that first shelf, and they're so small that I do double stack them. Now, this is the other romance shelf that I have. I love this series by Beverly Jenkins, Blessing series. I feel like enough people don't talk about that series. Spoiler alert, which everyone loves. Delilah Green Doesn't Care, everyone loves. I love that one too. You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, which everyone does not love. And then I have some of my independently published stuff on the shelf as well. Some names that y'all are familiar with, like Kennedy Ryan's Real. I think Ray gifted that to me for my birthday. Only for the Week, which adored. Love that book. Birthday Girl, which is not a hit for everyone. There's some really good conversations around that book, but it is a guilty pleasure of mine. I have the Cartel books here, which I was slowly rereading. And I need to go back and start that up again. Rebecca Weatherspoon's here. And then I have some more of Alyssa Cole stuff, but this is more, a few of these are her indie published things. And then one is her historical romance series. And then I have some Alexandra Warren, which I'm halfway through the series. I need to finish the series. And then starts my Christina C. Jones, which there's a section of Christina C. Jones missing. I pulled that down for a reason, just in case you're wondering why there's a gap. But there's some more Christina C. Jones that sits there. I do have some stuff in the back here. Cressley Cole and Erica Ridley are back there, and some Adriana Herrera. And then more elephant bottoms. I don't know why all my elephants face out like that. So these two are primarily my romance shelves, right? Like, those are my romance shelves. Then it drastically shifts into adult SFF. Like, drastically. And not completely adult SFF, because I would not consider A Brief History of Seven Killings to be SFF, but a lot of these are SFF. So we have, of course, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Nala Hopkinson, Nydia Okorafor, which I've read a few of the things here. I've read some of Binti, I've read Who Fears Death here. And then that's the original Binti cover. And then read Remote Control and really, really liked it. We shift into some stuff that I have by N.K. Jemisin, which this is a weird, I don't know why I have it organized like this. Because it breaks, and I'm going to fix that because I don't like that we have N.K. Jemisin and then it's a break off. But Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which I heard is a difficult read. I heard that book it's a very, very difficult read, and then we break off again into N.K. Jemisin. So it starts there, which is weird of me to do, and then connects back here. I have read the first book in the Inheritance trilogy, which is why you have that bookmark is sitting right there, because I finished that. Have the 5th season. And then here we have some more stuff. The Sword of Kaigan, which I haven't read yet. I have some River Solomon stuff, which is also not really in place because there's another River Solomon book over. This is so chaotic, my friends. And then Octavia E. Butler books there as well, who completely and totally terrifies. You'll see what I mean when I say, like, There Goes the Deep, which this book took me forever to read, but that's because I heavily annotated that book. Then we have like Freshwater there. We have books by Rebecca Roanworth are over there. I have some stuff by Stephen Graham Jones, which, and then I have The Empress of Salt and Fortune, which I read for the first time last year. I loved it. It was so good. City of Brass. Once again, this is so, listen, the way that I have this stuff organized, this used to be a little bit more organized than it is now, because it does not make sense that I have 2 Stephen Graham Jones books right there, and then 2 down here, which I don't know how that break happened. Don't ask me how that break happened. I have no idea. She Who Became the Sun. And then here we have the books that I have by R.F. Kuang. The entire Papa War trilogy, Babel. I don't have a copy or don't own a copy of Yellowface, but I would love to own a copy of Yellowface. Jade City by Fonda Lee, which I loved. The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, which I really, really want to start. And then All Systems Red is right there, which I've read and really, really enjoyed. Okay, so this, if you notice that those first 2 shelves were SFF stuff, primarily by authors of color, this is where we start to lose some of that color. Once again, some of this breaking off doesn't really make sense. So I have Brandon Sanderson starting, but then like the rest of Brandon Sanderson is over here. No sense. I remember when this was a huge thing in the booktube community, Solus, the steampunk type of series by Gail Carriger, and that one is signed, if I'm not mistaken. Nosferatu by Joe Hill, who just made a really, really stupid statement on X the other day. Game of Thrones, which I've read. Really interested in picking up Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. We'll see what happens. Then we have the first Mistborn Error by Sanderson, which everyone is familiar with. I've only read Mistborn, and I have Alloy of Law and the UK covers, which were a huge thing at one point. And then we are starting to shift a little bit into my YA. So I have about 2.5 shelves worth of adult SFF, and that's kind of how I organize my content. Like, you'll see that that's all of the adult materials that I own, and from here on out we're going to be shifting into young adult, and then the break between young adult and the children's collection is the graphic novels and manga and comics, which you will see in the second part. But this is where the young adult section starts. This is out of order too, because Way of Kings should not be under Fallen Kingdoms. At this point, I feel like this has just been, I've been sticking shit wherever I can place it on my shelf. So we do have the Fallen Kingdom series, which is broken by, which once again, a very, very weird choice, broken up by Skyward, which is Brandon Sanderson's like SFF series, and the Reckoners trilogy, which I still haven't finished. I have read Steelheart 2 times. I have read Firefight 2 times. I've been so nervous to pick up Calamity because Calamity, you know, Calamity. Yeah, I've heard interesting things about Calamity. All right, and then technically what this is the start of the Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. Now this series is interesting because it was never finished technically. So we have books 1, 2, and 3, and then 4, 5, and 6 the Fallen Kingdoms, right? But then there's a spin-off series, which you can see the first book is right there with a fake plant on top of it. But when we drop down here, you can see that this is the second book, which is The Darkest Magic. But unfortunately, the third book never got published because of low sales. I wish that she would just independently publish it, but I know that takes a lot. I do own some of Sarah J. Maas's books. Very, very not... this is before a lot of stuff. I'm not going to get to that conversation right now about Sarah J. Maas and how I kind of feel about some stuff that she's done. And so I definitely have been going back and forth on what I want to do with these books, because I own the entire Throne of Glass series and the original hardcover copies, which are not always easy to find at this point. I don't think so. I could be wrong. And then I have the original A Court of Thorns and Roses books and the original hardcovers, which I know these are not easy to find anymore either. But I haven't read, out of this entire section, I've only read Throne of Glass and A Court of Thorns and Roses. I have not read any of the other books, and I don't know if I will. That's a long story, which it is what it is. Here I have the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the newest covers, but I think these are the newest covers, by Leigh Bardugo. And then it starts the Cassandra Clare books that I do own, which a lot of these are like old library copies. I do own a copy, of course, of City of Bones, but it is not on the shelf. It's somewhere in this house, but it's not on the shelf. Alright, so here are the rest of the Cassandra Clare books that I do own. The Infernal Devices, not Infernal, yeah, Infernal Devices series. And that, which is out of order from the rest of the, no, not really. I think I went the opposite direction. So this is still the City of Bones, stopping with City of Heavenly Fire, and then we have the Infernal Devices, and then Lady Midnight. Over to the Diviners, which I buddy read with Alana and Robin last year. We finished the series, which she has a new book coming out this year, which I think may tie into those 4 books. Then we have some more kind of fantasy. These 2, or these 3, I have not read. These, I've read all of these, but it's been a while since I've read them, which is the Dorothy Must Die series by Daniel Page. It is a very twisted and weird look at The Wizard of Oz, and I ate that up when it first was coming out. And then we have another Wizard of Oz retelling, kind of, sort of, which is this Spelled trilogy by Betsy Scow. I only read Spelled, I think. I don't think I've read the rest of them. But these books, when I tell y'all the covers, I'm not going to pull it out because it would take me forever to put them back. These covers are gorgeous because it's the shoe on the cover and they're beautiful. I have an ARC copy of The Cruel Prince, which was highly coveted when it came out in 2018. And I finally read The Cruel Prince and liked it. I was debating on gifting that ARC away, but I have since decided to keep it. And then I have some more stuff up there. Coming down to here, we have Project by Courtney Summers. We have the Cinder series by Marissa Meyer. This is the original covers. This copy is actually signed by Marissa Meyer when I went to Y'all Fest. Some more things I have here. The Girl from Everywhere. I never read the second book, which was fine. But I liked the first one. It was a solid read. Hex Hall is a series by Rachel Hawkins. It's old school paranormal, YA paranormal, and I liked it. Merciless Ones I still need to read. I have some more arcs in here. Dread Nation wasn't a favorite, but I read it. Caught a Warrior, Caught a Witch. I have not gotten rid of these because they're so heavily annotated. There's nothing that I can do with those. So here they are. Because I can't sell them because they're annotated. And so they're just sitting on the shelf. Song of Wraith and Runes. I never read the second book. Winds of Ebony. Never read the second book. Raybearer. Love Raybearer. Love Raybearer. I haven't seen Jordan E. Fuego come out with another book yet. So I don't know if that's going to be a thing. And then I have Legendborn. And as we drop down to this shelf, Bloodmarked. I have not continued on with this series. Kingdom of Souls by Rena Barron. But I did like that first book. And I need to continue on. I just haven't done it. Some more, as you can see a pattern here. This is where we're stepping into authors of color here. A couple things by Kay Akram. A few things by Anna Marie McLemore. Aiden Thomas's stuff. We Hunt the Flame. A couple of things by Zarata Cordova. A couple of things, well, Ryan LaSala's book, Reverie. And then one of those remix books, which, where is the, I'm trying to figure out where, oh, I read Most Ardently, which will go on this shelf by What Souls Are Made Of, because it's a remix. And then some more other things. One of my favorite books of 2023. Love The Spirit Pierces Teeth. Oh my gosh, it's so good. Another one of my favorite books of 2023, Delicious Monsters. Love that book. So on this shelf, this is complicated. So, I have not read The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Ahdieh, but I have read The Wrath and the Dawn. It is signed by her. I can't remember if The Rose and the Dagger is signed or not. I don't know if I'm ever going to read that second book, but I must tell you, when I did read the first book, I did enjoy it. I don't know if it'll hold up though. More Than Happy by Adam Silvera. Loved that book when it came out. Also another one I haven't read in a long time. Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl. Of course. That's Joy Goffney. I'm going to love it. Which I also have another Joy, which these need to be switched because this is the other Joy Goffney book that I have, which is Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry. Some of my Kelly Yang books, which I still haven't read, Private Label by her, I need to read because I love Kelly Yang. And then some more like contemporary. So we kind of, this is where I tried to break it up, where that rose is, or that fake roses. And I have a lot of random trinkets on my shelf, but I tried to break it up because we were getting into like YA, fantasy, sci-fi, horror. I tried to break that up when I shifted here, and you can see the change in color of the covers, which I think is really cool. So when we get to this shelf, we still have more young adult, like contemporary. I used to be a huge fan of Cody Keplinger, but I reread The Duff years ago. This was even before my daughter was born, so this probably was like 2017, 2018, and it did not hold up. But these two are connected, if I'm not mistaken. Those two are connected, but I don't know. We'll see how I feel. Geekarella and Books and the Beast. I can't remember where I stopped in that series. Whether it was whether I read the second book or not, I can't remember, which means I probably didn't read it. And then, of course, To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Now, I had reread To All the Boys I Loved Before after watching the movie, and I must say, this was the decision to age them up and make them more mature was perfection. When I first read the series, I absolutely loved it. Going back and reading it again, I realized that I am no longer the target audience for that series. I'm gonna keep it. I do have fond memories of it. I don't know if I will ever reread it though. And then in here we have a couple of other things. One of my favorite books of all time, We Deserve Monuments by Jazz Hammonds. I have their new book. I've been arc of that one. Excited to read it. We have a little bit of E.B. Zaboy mixed in here with Christina Forrest, which I really did enjoy. Now That I've Found You, that was a good read. American Street by E.B. Zaboy is one of my favorite books by her. I read Pride and didn't love it as much as I thought I would. And then we have some more contemporary over here. Actually, I'm going to move y'all over, because I think that makes more sense to move you over. So here we have more contemporary. I have read the Anna and the French Kiss trilogy. It's broken up here. Shouldn't be broken up. And I'm going back to reread it and revisit it, because I don't know if it will hold up as much as it did when I first read it. I'm just interested. We have a little bit of Nicola Yoon, which I've read both of those. This one's also Star and Everything. Then we have my Elizabeth Acevedo books, which I've read all three of these. The Poet X, Cloud When You Land, and With the Fire and High. I have found, and I could be wrong in saying this, I don't know, but I have found that I do not enjoy Elizabeth Acevedo's prose as much as her verse, which is why I really enjoyed The Poet X and Cloud When You Land, but was not as, like, blown away with The Fire and High. It was still a good book, don't get me wrong, but it didn't hold up as much. It didn't hold up in terms of, like, favorites compared to the other two. And so that's why I'm really interested in her adult title, because that's written in, it's a prose title, and I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, which I've heard a lot of people have not really been feeling that. Here we are getting into, this section in particular is very interesting for me. This section is where I try to keep a lot of books that I would recommend to teen boys. There is this thing, I don't know if people have noticed, where in young adult, it's interesting trying to find good recommendations for teen boys. A lot of it is catered to teen girls, and so I like to make sure that I have a broad selection for me to kind of read and recommend. And so these are some of the things that I kind of keep in my arsenal. I read Promise Boys when it came out in 2023 and really enjoyed it. Jason Reynolds' Long Way Down, you just can't go wrong with Long Way Down. It's just one of my favorites. I got a copy of Thieves Gambit, but I haven't read it. Not So Pure and Simple by, I can't remember if it's Giles or Giles. That was a really good book that looks at toxic masculinity through a character that is engaging in toxic masculinity and doesn't even realize it. Very interesting concept there, that it took me a while to figure out what Lamar was doing with that book. The crossover by Kwame Alexander it technically could go on my middle grade shelf, but it has a crossover appeal, and great for both a lower young adult, upper middle grade audience. And then I have some more stuff there. A List of Cages by Robin Rowe is a good book, but ultimately very sad. I have, of course, my baby love is over here, Sharon Draper, Tears of a Tiger, OG. I have all of Brittany Morris's books. I have not read The Jump, but I have read The Cost of Knowing and Slay. This one, it's a teen girl that's a protagonist in this one, but I do think that the gaming aspect of it is really interesting. The Cost of Knowing is not one that I openly recommend often because of the anxiety rep being so good that if you have anxiety, that book is very, very difficult to make it through. But it's a testament to her writing ability, but it was like one of those things where the anxiety rep is hard to kind of make it through. Then we kind of shift over a little bit more to kind of like just a mishmash of like books, didn't know where to put them, so I just put them on the shelf. We have one of my favorites. This is technically contemporary, but because the covers were darker, I decided to bring them down here instead of putting them on the contemporary shelf. The Love Boat Taipei series by Abigail Henwin. So good. I haven't read the third book yet, but I loved both of those. I have another Robin Rowe book. Robin Rowe and the ability to kind of like mentally screw me up. I have not touched Dark Room Etiquette yet. I will get to it, but I've been so hesitant to pick it up. We have Firekeeper's Daughter and Warrior Girl on Earth, which that's going to be a 4-book series, so we just have gotten the first 2. This is My America by Kim Johnson, which I really, really love that cover. And then we have Ace of Spades, which a lot of people do love. There Goes a Neighborhood. Let me move y'all so you can see what I'm talking about. So I have Come Home Safe, There Goes the Neighborhood, The Black Girls Love Singing. I haven't read this one. One of the good ones. Oh, that's where my copy of Chlorine Sky went, y'all. I have been looking for that book and haven't been able. It's back there in that corner where my camera is having trouble focusing. There we go. Chlorine Sky. Really, really like that book because it is a good look at a friendship breakup, which I think in a lot of teen books we see like romantic relationships explored, but Chlorine Sky is a good one to think about when we're talking about like friendships kind of falling apart and how those can be just as difficult as a romantic relationship breaking up. The only one that I've read Chlorine Sky, and then I've read We Are Not From Here by Jenny Torres Sanchez. Oh my gosh, that book is so good. Oh my gosh, that book is so daggone good. It is so good. It is so good. I need to reread that sometime soon. And then this is one that I am going to have on my radar pretty soon. This is How It Went Down by Kekla Magoon, who I really do enjoy. I think in the bookish community, online bookish community, very slept on author, but not in the wider reading community. And put those back. Now, I do have some other books that are kind of just waiting to get shelved that I kind of keep. I'll show y'all where I keep those so you can kind of get an idea, because I have a holding spot for books that need to be shelved. So this is next to that shelf with the classics. This is just a different angle. These are books that I have received that are waiting to be shelved somewhere. I'm probably going to have to do some rearranging in order to shelve some of this stuff, but I was gifted a copy of The Priory of the Orange Tree. We have the whole entire Amulet series, which needs to be shelved. Robin had purchased me a copy of The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois. I was sent some books by Algonquin Young Readers. So they had sent me just like a stack of books, which is really, really nice of them, which included Furia, Our Shadows Have Claws, Tigers Not Daughters, Here to Stay. Penguin sent me Forgive Me Not. So these are books that need to go on my shelf, or stuff that I've pulled off that needs to get reshelved. I think this one came from, did this come from them as well? I can't remember who sent me. Oh yeah, they sent me this one as well. Goddess Crown. That one was sent to me by, let's see, Walker Books, which is a part of Candlewood Press. And then sometimes I get boxes that I didn't ask for, like press promotional type. So that's Liara Tamani's new book. They sent me Solitaire. I have my feelings about Alice Oseman right now. Some comments that have been made, so there's that. And then sometimes I'll get sent like some graphic novels. Tales of the Seventh Grade Lizard Boy, that needs to be shelved. Hoops, that needs to be shelved on the graphic novel shelf. Same thing with Blue Stars. I've actually already read this and reviewed it. This was really, really good. This is a 2024 release that I need to shelve. And then I have some other stuff, y'all, but some of this stuff is still like sitting in boxes and packaging, so I'm not going to show you that stuff. But that is it for part 1 of the bookshelf tour. I'm actually filming this all in one swoop, but I'm giving it to you in 2 parts because I didn't want to do an hour-long video, which this first part is probably over 30 minutes. So that second part is probably going to be over 30 minutes as well, and thought it would break it up into 2 parts. But thank you for watching this video. If you like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Focus. Give it a thumbs up. Click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications if you're interested in supporting the channel, or follow me on social media. All those links will be in the description box below. And I will be back with the next part of the bookshelf tour in a couple of days.
You're unaware, keep moving like the scars aren't even there. It's in the air like a blazing flare.